The Minnesota Vikings they're starting. They have started to make the moves to which fix the holes that... Listen, the Vikings are finally getting in a place where they are fixing the holes that they have on their front office. Obviously, they just hired Adofo-Mensah as their general manager, and they're looking to hire Kevin O'Connell. Everybody's reporting it. I mean, Adam Schefter's cousin, great uncle Honk. Yes, I stole that from The Office. Yes, that's right. That's why you come to this channel. But I really think that this is an indication that they are moving in a lot of right direction. Like, they are making the right moves, because obviously Adofo-Mensah was the beginning of something big. Like, they did not ever really do anything like this. They took a shot at Rick Spielman, who had been in the NFL, been in the business for a while, came up through scouting, knew how to kind of just look at players, look at holes, and try to fill them. Okay, we get that. Adofo-Mensah very much that has not been the case. Obviously was in Wall Street, was in research and development with the 49ers, also with the Browns as more in their, obviously he was still part of, like, he's a glorified general manager. Like, he looked at, like, personnel and development and all that, like, we all know that. But the point is this: they are making different moves that I think needed to be done a long time ago. They are hiring guys that I don't think the Wolves would have hired before. Like, if you think about it, this is just so weird. Like, Adofo-Mensah I loved that hire. I thought it was a little risky because I think Ryan Poles was the easier pick, or was at least the safer pick by many. But if we're trying to create something out of thin air here, I think we're in a position where we realize that what happened last time with Mike Zimmer and Rick Spielman didn't work out. Okay, so I think the definition of insanity is doing the same thing twice and expecting a different result, or whatever, according to Albert Einstein, or however the saying goes, or whoever said it. The point is, the Vikings aren't making the same mistake twice. They are looking at ways to legitimately find a way to the Super Bowl. Like, and I respect that. I absolutely love, and obviously I know they've got to wait till after the Super Bowl to hire Kevin O'Connell, but I love it. I absolutely love it. I think this is a different route. And I think it's overall the correct one, because what we have over here, it's like Schrodinger's cat. Like, we don't know what we have. Like, we know we're going to get in a guy like Mike Zimmer and Rick Spielman. Okay, we get it. We know what we get there, but what can we get here? I mean, could it be worse? Probably. Like, we could not make the playoffs, but we weren't making the playoffs before. So, I mean, at some point you got to try something different. At some point you have to put a different team on the field and just try something new. I know they're looking at defensive coordinators right now. I mean, we can see a potential defensive coordinator that's more of a 3-4 focus. Like, there's a lot still up in the air right now, and I fully expect the Vikings to try a lot of different things. In fact, I believe that's the feeling I'm getting this year. Like, the Vikings are okay with trying something different and being wrong. Like, and I respect that. Like, I respect risk. I just really respect what the Wolves are doing right now, hiring guys that have a lot of upside, that bring an interesting aspect to the organization. And I think a guy like Adofo-Mensah and Kevin O'Connell, I think they're exactly that. I mean, obviously Kwesi, I think he's going to be a really good talent. I think he's going to be a very good talent evaluator, and I think Kevin O'Connell could be potentially, I know they're still waiting on some formalities, but he's who's reported to be the Vikings' next head coach, and I'm really excited for it. Again, I think the Vikings needed to go in the route of being more of an offensive-based team. Like, they need... Well, let me backtrack on that for a second. Yes, I felt like they needed to hire an offensive coach, but they need a coach of the entire team. Like, they need to... I loved Mike Zimmer. I was a Mike Zimmer apologist for years, but he only focused on the defense, and that was very apparent. Like, you could see he was really mainly only focused on the defense. When he was asked offensive questions, they were vague, but when he was asked more, in my opinion, when you saw him in press conferences, he was more apt to actually give you a better response. Like, for instance, this guy was in a bad spot. Like, I think it was back in his first season as the coach of the Vikings. I think he made a bad call, and it led to led to a Denver Bronco like 75-yard touchdown run. I'm forgetting the back on who that was, but he actually played for the Vikings. I can't remember off the top of my head. But anyway, led to a bad call. He took ownership of it and said this guy was out of place. I think it was Daniil Hunter, and said, he did. I didn't make the right call. I didn't put him in the right position. At the time, I thought it was, hey, you got a head coach that's taking responsibility. I love it. Well, as things got moving on, there was a couple things that stood out to me that just wasn't working for me. Like the offensive line was always an issue. It was a team that never made corrections, and it was just the same result. There was always a game a year where it just looked like the team wasn't energized. They didn't want to be there, and I think that comes to an end. I think that finally getting a guy like Kwesi Adofo-Mensah, getting a guy like O'Connell in here, Kevin O'Connell is going to be, I feel like this is the way we want this franchise to start looking. Mediocrity is not an option. Coming out and being gassed, that is not an option. They want Super Bowls in Minnesota, and I fully support where this is going. It can completely blow up. I'm okay with that. I would much rather go 100 miles an hour and completely crash than go 30 miles an hour and just stay on the same just highway, just behind this grandma that's not going anywhere. Like, sooner or later, I bet you are more apt to find the answer going 100 miles an hour rather than 30. Yes, I believe that's absolutely the case. And I think the Minnesota Vikings are making the right moves to be able to put the franchise in the best possible place moving forward. But let us know what you guys think. Make sure you guys like and subscribe down below. Leave a like and a comment. It helps people find the show. We really appreciate all the support that we've gotten and continue to get. You guys are truthfully awesome, and we love every single one of you. Also, in the description down below, you'll find all of our social media platforms, so give us a like and a follow there. We would greatly appreciate that as well. And give us a listen and sub on iTunes. And finally, if you have anything else you'd like us to cover, send us an email at thesportsbp@yahoo.com or put in the comment section down below, and we would love to cover it. But let us know what you guys think about the Minnesota Vikings making the right moves.